Get to know each of the 12 mayoral candidates with KKTV 11 News Know Before You Vote with this in-depth interview featuring Blessing Yemi Mobolade.
I'd like to start by asking you what you think the mayor's primary role is.
That's an excellent question. Your mayor of Colorado Springs, according to the city charter, so it's a 41-page document. Think of it as our own local constitution. There are about 2 pages in that 41-page document that outlines of job functions of Colorado Springs mayor. And in summary, it's 3 essential core functions: public safety, public works, and public parks. Ensuring the high, efficient, and quality delivery of those services to our residents. I always add a 4th P, and that's public leadership. So you want your mayor to have the gift of leadership and to be a good leader, to be able to advance all the other emphasis and functions too in our city.
What are your thoughts on Mayor John Suther's performance? And if elected, would you keep it in the same direction or change course?
That's a great question. Let me go one step back. About 12 years ago, we elected the first strong mayor, Mayor Steve Bach. Mayor Steve Bach, his primary role, in my assessment, was to get us into this new form of government. You have to keep in mind that the previous form of government was a city council, city manager form of government. And now we have these branches of government. The city council is now the legislative, and the mayor's office is now the executive. I thought Steve Bach did a decent job in terms of what his job was to get us there. Now, John Suthers comes in, and he has done a fairly good job in helping us to take care and fix some of the issues that our city, that was lingering in our city, including the relationship between the executive branch and the legislative branch, and to fix some of our infrastructure issues. I think about potholes, and I think about our stormwater infrastructure. So here's what our city needs now that I see there's a gap. I plan on ensuring that we are still taking on and fixing our infrastructure issues. We're not done yet. There's more work to be done. But what our city needs in this season, in this inflection point, is good vision and great leadership and collaboration that brings everyone around the table, because the challenges that we're having today, the stakes are so much greater than where we've been. And so it requires a different kind of leader that not only has the right vision, but has the ability to pull people from all over the city together to solve our toughest problems.
How would you propose to stretch taxpayer dollars and still achieve your goals as mayor?
Absolutely. That's an ongoing challenge of our community. Our city budget's $420 million general fund. Over half of that is dedicated to public safety. As you can imagine, we don't have enough money to pay for everything that we need. And to put it in context, District 11, the school District 11, their budget is about $720 million. A lot bigger than our city budget, as you can imagine. So one of the necessary and difficult work of your mayor is to be able to deliver the services that we need with a very limited budget. And so one of the things I like to do is to reprioritize our spending around the values and the priorities of our residents. That's going to be number one. And that's why it's of great advantage for this city to have a mayor with a business imagination and business understanding, because the ability to think in terms of fiscal responsibility, spending within our limits, cutting costs, cutting down the fat, having a contingency plan, having low-cost creative solutions to the issues that we need to take care of. Those are things I'll be bringing from my own business experiences. And then finally, I would mention is there's funding out there, whether it's on the state level and the federal level. I plan to be a proactive mayor to go after those funds and to bring those funds into our community. So it's not always raising tax. It's how else can we get the money that we need to take care of the problems that we have.
How can the mayor have an impact on homelessness in the region?
Absolutely. I want to mention that there are a number of incredible leaders and partners in the region that are actively working to prevent and end homelessness. And I just want to give them a shout out. I'm actually on the board of Springs Rescue Mission. So I've seen our progress over the last 4 years. I have friends that are executive directors of other incredible social services organizations like The Place who are helping with youth homelessness. So as mayor, I plan to continue to work with many organizations and partners to ensure that we are solving the problem, especially with the continuum of the Pikes Peak Continuum to end homelessness. It's a group in town that brings all the partners around the table to ensure that we are talking to each other. So the city has an important role to play in that. And one of the big shifts you see with me with my administration is an emphasis on mental health care. Big emphasis. In 2019, the Colorado Coalition for Homelessness estimated that 71% of homelessness in the state is connected to mental illness. So if we're not solving the problem around substance abuse and mental illness, we're really not helping to end homelessness. So I will prioritize partnerships with organizations that are focused on mental health care. And number two, I will also ensure that we are increasing permanent supportive housing option. And what that means is housing combined with case management and supportive services, including mental health. So these and some other plans that I have in place that as mayor, what I can do to end homelessness in our city. And I should mention one last thing to our listeners and viewers should also be mindful of is increasing street outreach. Very important to me. The city has some behavioral and mental health team members from the fire department. I want to increase the amount of street outreach to get our residents from the street into bed, housing, and healthcare.
What can the next elected mayor do to help with the affordable housing crisis?
Oh, that's great. Very similar answer in the sense of I just want to acknowledge the work that is being done by many leaders and Affordable Housing Coalition that is made up of leadership from every major organization in town that is also wanting to step up to say, how can we help? Here's where the mayor's office can make the biggest difference is to ensure that we have a coordinated effort and a concerted effort between all these entities to make sure we are moving the needle. And as such, I would like to reimagine one of the existing roles within the city government, and to have that role report to me directly. And I'll be calling that role a chief housing officer to ensure that we are advancing the city's housing priorities, as well as ensuring that we're bridging that public-private partnership gap. Because we gotta advance these efforts a lot quicker than we are currently. Something else that you see with me is to ensure that we are streamlining the process and that we are accelerating attainable and affordable housing projects within the city, because it's all about cost. The longer we wait to build these homes, the more expensive the building materials become. And friends, we are about 12,000 units short. So that's a problem. We have to increase supply. Demand is high, supply is low, and I want to increase supply as mayor of Colorado Springs.
How should Colorado Springs handle city growth given the water constraints in the West?
And that's a great one, and one that is certainly near and dear to me, my heart and my mind as a number of residents. So in 2006, the city adopted a document called the annexation plan. And one of the things I'd like to do as mayor is to make sure that we are re-looking at that plan. One, just to ensure that we're actually doing what the plan says, and then two, to freshen it up and bring it up to speed, because this is 2023. But the wisdom in that plan still applies today. There are three things I want to point out that the plan talks about. One, it says that the water is owned by the citizens of Colorado Springs, number one. So that is the water within the city limits, and anything even outside the city limits, it's owned by the residents of Colorado Springs. Number two, we're in no obligation under any kind of general law to provide water outside the corporate limits of the city. Really important. And number three, which I find interesting, the document also says, as the Pikes Peak urban area grows, the city is expected to consider the needs outside of the city limits, the water and utility needs outside of the city limits. But in doing so, we have to make sure we can answer the question of whether or not we have enough water to serve the existing needs of our city, and then we can approach the needs outside of the city limits. The conversation has started. It needed to have started a while back. The 128% water rule is where it's a good start to the conversation, but by no means have we solved this. There's more leadership that is needed, and I fully intend to use my collaborative strength is what I'm really good at, bringing people to the table to ensure that we have the best minds and the best input to solve our problems. So I fully intend to use that to ensure that we are having that right conversation and we can answer the question of whether or not we have enough water for today, and ensure that we have enough water for the future generation.
Finally, Yemi, why should voters cast their ballot for you?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite ones. The proof is in the pudding. Let me describe the pudding for you. Right now, my campaign donations come from every zip code in this city and every neighborhood in this city. I have over 500 unique contributors of campaign finance contributors. The other 11 candidates, altogether, they have less than 400. I think the city is already making their choice that we will see reflected on ballot day. When you look at my campaign, you see that I have an incredible army and strength of working professionals and leaders from all three sectors who are ready to just act and on your behalf and on behalf of the future of our city. And when you look at leadership, when you look at the ability to include, the ability to pull in the best, my campaign is the only one that is demonstrating it, friends. And so here's the thing. I really believe our city is at an inflection point, and we're tired of the same old. We're tired of status quo. We want to evolve into something great. And no other leader right now has the ability to pull greatness from our community. And no other leader that is running really understands the unique challenges that our residents have like I do. I'm a family man, I'm a small business owner. I've started 3 businesses. I'm a nonprofit founder of COS I Love You. And I am the only candidate that actually has experience working inside of city government as one of the 2,500 people that I will be leading. This community trusts me, and I'm excited to serve this community with you by my side.
Yemi Mobolade, candidate for mayor of the city of Colorado Springs. We want to thank you so much again for joining us in our 11 Breaking News Center, and wish you all the best this upcoming election season.
Thank you for having me again.